Hello, everyone. How are you? Good evening, everyone. This is the Up Bad Blood Q&A live stream. This is our final one before the game next weekend. So this is going to be your last chance to get your questions in. So we're going to be monitoring all the channels for your posts in the chat. Plus, we're going to be giving away a special prize at the end of the evening, and we have a special guest tonight as well. I'm Moondog. For those of you who don't know, I'm the creator of Operation Bad Blood and you're one of your hosts tonight. And on to my screen right, we have Ian, who is my co-host.
Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm Ian. I've been involved with Bad Blood since 2013 was my first event. I've been working with Moondog for the actual administration of the game. Maybe a couple years after that, I basically said I'm coming in, deal with it. And yeah, I'm your everyday kind of rule keeper. Won't be there this year, unfortunately. I'm really sad about that. But I'm your on-field admin, making sure everybody's having a good time, staying safe, uh, following the rules, meeting their objectives. Anybody has any problems, you get stuck in some kind of bottleneck, I'll do what I can to help you out, stuff like that. But yeah, just out there is the general, helping everybody do their thing.
Excellent. And Ian does a great job, and he's still working on helping to get this thing started, even though he's doing it remotely this year.
Yep.
And directly below us is Mark Thomas, who is aka Archimedes, who is going to be the CEO of Black Shirts this year. So, Mark, introduce yourself.
Well, hello. This is going to be my second year at Bad Blood, and apparently I'm going to be much more involved. But looking forward to it. My son and I have been playing for about 2 years and really enjoy ourselves. So this has been a great event. We attended last year, had so much fun. Definitely we're coming back again this year. And now looking forward to being even more involved.
Excellent. And what's your son's call sign?
Didn't adopt one yet.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was Archimedes' son? That's a good question. Did he have a son?
I don't know. We'll have to look.
Yeah, okay.
We may just have to call him Eureka.
Hey, I like that one. That's a great call sign. All right. And we have a special guest tonight. We have, for those of you who might have seen some of my reviews, most recently for a Monstrum Panzer and a Monstrum Banshee scope. We have a special guest, GD Boomer, who is the host of his own channel, who spent 3 weeks ago now, showed off his Barrett, which is above his head. Mark, welcome to the live stream.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
I'm back with another toy.
Yes, excellent. And that is a big toy. So we're going to get to that later in the episode. But as you can see here, Mark has a number of interesting toys.
Yes. Bad habits.
Excellent. So now Mark is coming from the Pew Pew world. So I don't think you've ever played airsoft, have you, Mark?
I have not. No. In fact, as we were discussing, there's an airsoft version of this M107A1 Barrett, which I'd never seen. It's amazing that, but the same size and everything. So,
excellent.
If you want to impress your friends, I guess get one of those.
Yes, and to Tim, who just posted up, yes, that is a Sager missile. So we are going to get into that later on the live stream. But I wanted to also bring up news for those of you who weren't able to catch the live stream last week. The big news is we are for sure 100% going to have a night game. So we're going to have 3 games for the whole weekend. We've got the night game on Friday. We have Bad Blood on Saturday. And on Sunday morning, we have Dead Blood, which is the zombie version of Bad Blood that I also host. So get your tickets now. You're going to get 3 different games for the price of one, and they're only available at evic.com. So that's the only place you can get the tickets. You can't get it at the field on game day. And I've asked Evic to keep the tickets open for as long as they can, But this week is going to be pretty much the end of it, because they have to do the tally and make sure that if for anybody who had to get any last minute cancellations, that they can get all that processed. All right. Hey, we got Mark Thomas on there on as well. So for those of you who are watching this on either on the Facebook groups or on my YouTube channels, be sure to if you have any questions about Bad Blood or what's going to be going on this coming weekend, please post it there. And we'll also be giving away a prize from one of our other guests. Hopefully, he can log in this evening to spin the wheel to see who won this spotting scope. I should just show it to you right now, anyway, since we're talking about it. This is a Athlon Talos. It is a 20 to 60 power spotting scope, 80 millimeter front objective, and it's being given away by OSS. Let's see if I can get the logo on here. There we go. OSS, Outdoor Sporting Solutions. They produce these heavy duty lens caps for spotting scopes, and so I told them that I wanted to get one of his for a Talos, and he actually didn't have one in the size, so he bought one just to make sure that it fit. And so he's giving away his brand new Talos that I was using as a model for his lens caps. So we're going to give that away at the end of the night. Oh, okay. And we have Chops, who is another CO joining us. Chops, introduce yourself. Chops, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm Jeff Chops. I will be the Green CO this year. This is my 4th year at Bad Blood. Not sure.
You had a few words.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, Moondog, I'm thinking since this is our last live stream for game day, this is really your last chance to really ask any questions or voice any concerns. I'd like to just add the chat as an overlay so we can all just kind of see it. So if anybody has any questions, there you go, and we're good to go.
Now I have a question actually for everybody else there. Mark, I think you might be the closest to the field in the panel geographically. I heard the weather. Well, the last week has been horrendously hot, but I hear, I should say, I read on weather.com that things are going into a cooling trend by next weekend.
Yeah.
If they are, I don't know about it. It would certainly be welcome. At the first of the year, it's always so shocking when it's not the heat necessarily, but when the humidity rolls in, it doesn't roll out until October almost.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard about a cooling trend. The big hype is all the heat.
Absolutely. So we're always looking for any reprieve from the heat, especially for a sporting activity that we're doing.
You'd think you'd want bright and sunny and clear and warm. Not really. No, I'd rather be a little on the cool side.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll keep on reminding folks: hydrate, because the most common injuries we get at Bad Blood, or really any airsoft event, are heat related. So we get the occasional twisted ankle or whatever, but 90% of the time it's somebody who gets heat exhaustion, and heaven forbid you actually get a heat stroke, but usually it's heat exhaustion. And yeah, it's not a pleasant time for anybody who has to deal with that, or their friends who have to deal with carrying their gear off the field. Okay, so there's a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
We were near 100 yesterday.
Woo.
And we got a little bit of rain overnight, and then today we had a front blowing in that cooled us off. We were into the 80s, so much cooler. A little bit of humidity, but that's supposed to sort of dissipate through the week. And like you said, there's forecasting for partly cloudy, probably in the 80s, but should be decent weather for us. Not the monsoon that we had on Friday last year.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
The one thing about concerning that for the rain, and I'm sorry,
We will get to this
Angelus,
question.
we'll get to your question. Uh, the the forecast call is currently calling, and you can't count a forecast until really 48 hours or less, because the weather changes. But they're currently calling for scattered thunderstorms, and if that is a concern to you, don't let it be for in terms of waiting to buy your tickets, because in previous years where there have been good chances for thunderstorms, the Endless Mountain region is unlike nearby Scranton, where a lot of the weather forecasts are. So where the way the mountains and the valleys, it channels the weather around totally different. So whereas you'll get thunderstorms in Scranton or even Binghamton, New York, where we're at, it's bone dry, or
Yeah.
it may have a sprinkle for like 10 minutes, and then the rest of the day it's sunny. So yeah, don't necessarily take that as verbatim what you see on like or what your weather forecasts.
Like last year was calling for rain, so like less people bought tickets, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It poured
Yeah.
Friday night, but it was pretty cool most of the day Saturday until the sun came
Yeah.
out. It got a little hot, but it was
Yeah.
very
Weather-wise, it was great Saturday.
very good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this question here.
So the question is there any real guidance for video / photographer personnel in the field? I'm fine with folks coming out and taking video or photography, especially for vlogging or what have you. I would like to get your name and contact information prior, and you can always reach out to me at moondogairsoft@gmail.com. I would require that you wear all the protective gear, especially eye pro, while you're out videotaping. Don't get in the way of any of the players, and you have to wear a yellow or orange safety vest, just so
Right.
that we know you're not a player. And also, it reduces the amount of times you get shot at. I will not guarantee you will not get shot at.
No, it
You
doesn't.
will, yeah, you'll still get shot at, but you'll get shot at less. That's all. That's from what I know. Now, if our now in terms of technical guidance, I would put on a UV filter at the very least in front of your lens.
Yeah.
I would bring two, if in fact. Most of the time, anything short of pretty close and direct hits uh, should bounce off. But I would rather have a broken UV filter than a chipped main lens glass. So
I
that's
do
that.
know they make loose sight screen covers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how expensive those are and if you already have one, but yeah, you're going to want to protect that lens because like I said, since I'm primarily the one who's on the field more often than not, in my bright red everything, I still get lit up. So those guys out there, they don't care. They see movement and they just start slinging. So you're going to get hit. Just be aware of that.
My biggest concern for any video or photography gear going out there is actually your monitor screen in the back. Those are much more fragile than your main lens, and I've had, no, not recently, but I have had screens cracked, and basically the camera ruined just from the hits coming from the other direction. Actually,
Right, that's true.
yeah, just hitting the back of the swing out display screen and hitting that cracked the LCD screen. So
Yeah, just because you're capturing action in your front doesn't mean there isn't stuff behind you. That's a good point.
mhm. So again, bring whatever you want to on the field for your camera gear, but just be mindful that that folks usually aren't intending to shoot your camera gear, but you gotta bring whatever you can that's out there that's a little more rugged. So, have you guys ever brought out your own cameras to the games, Mark or Chops?
Negative.
I tried to run a camera once and I had bad luck with it. And last year, the Sunday morning games, I was holding my phone up on down in the Pines, and I got shot in the hand. So it missed my phone, thank goodness. But yeah,
So
that hurt.
yeah, for phones, I would recommend get one of those underwater covers.
Yeah.
That's better than nothing, and because I mean, phones are actually pretty much more rugged than most video camera monitors because they're made for Gorilla Glass. They're made to be dropped, or at least
Right.
they're made to survive most drops. But still, yeah, uh, um, I tend to if I go out, and this year I'll probably bring like my DJI, that like a GoPro, and I'll put it in the underwater housing. So, but the downside is the sound's going to be muffled, but I've already had one cracked just from dropping it. So yeah, I don't want to get it shot up anymore.
That makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We talked about the night game on Friday, and also for as an additional event or activity that's going on, we're going to have a few extra raffles. There's one that's especially raffle. We had a guest on last week from ZKT, which designs actually real display cases for gun shops, and they're going to be giving away some. They're going to be giving away some airsoft guns. So there's going to be an additional raffle that they're going to put on.
Also, our own Buck is going to be giving away a few really choice things as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Has he said what he's going to give away yet?
If he has, I've forgotten. Sorry,
Okay.
Buck. But
Buck, if
yeah,
you're out there, but tell us what you're if
Yeah,
or you was going to be surprised.
Let me see if I can find it while we're talking.
And we're going to have a live band. Well, provided it doesn't rain again, because last year we were supposed to have them, but because it was raining, they couldn't bring their amps out to the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not safe.
Mhm.
Can't ask them to do something like that.
Absolutely. Now, I had a question. Evic's been putting out a ton of newsletters about Bad Blood, and they've been posting up social videos. And for whatever reason, on the algorithm or whatnot, I haven't been getting a lot of the marketing posts in my socials. Have any of you guys seen anything, or anybody out there on the chat?
I not really, but I did see that Evic has put Bad Blood as their splash screen when you first go to evic.com, which is nice.
Yeah, that's been up for a couple of weeks, like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because this is their big event on the East Coast. So that's one of the reasons why it grew from 150 player game into at our peak it was 1,000 player game, is because they really did a great job of promoting and marketing the event nationally.
This is what Buck is going to be giving away for some lucky few.
What is a gate aster? Is that a MOSFET?
MOSFET.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. So you're getting the lucky winners of that are getting some super sweet replicas. So yeah, get on it.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I was looking at one of the posts from Gear Tester. He got an Airbnb 3 minutes in the field. That's amazing.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah. Gotta love Airbnb sometimes.
Let's see. What are you asking about here? Yeah, you're free to come off the field anytime you wish. The only problem with that is you gotta then either find your spawn wherever it is on the field, since it's going to be semi-static this year. That might not be so bad. Or if your team is in the middle of some action somewhere, you got to find them. So, yeah, you're free to come and go as you see fit, but just know that you might be kind of removed from the action for a while you try and locate your team. But that's what you're gonna have a radio for.
Exactly.
And you're gonna say, "Hey, I'm coming back. Where are you?" They're gonna give grid cords. And you're gonna go there, and that's that.
So that actually brings up a good point that Ian's saying, that because we're doing, we have the casualty collection points this year, which are 8 static specific locations where your triage respawn can be. That'll make once you get an idea of where those are on the field, that'll make finding your team that much easier compared to previous years. That,
Yeah,
and of
and
course having your radio.
yeah, and like I said last week, since you're going to be so close to the field, I'm hoping you take advantage of early chrono on Friday. Feel
Oh
free,
yeah,
bring a map with you and walk the field. Get an idea of where the different
great idea.
respawns are going to be, and what the grid coordinates are for those respawns, and you're good to go.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think we've gotten quite a few of the questions put away. I'm going to actually cast it off to our panel here. Do you guys have any questions that you've been fielding most commonly from the players on your factions? Mark,
Nothing too common.
Chops.
Just some questions about what radios to use, things along those lines. If somebody will be on site that could help them set it if we need to.
I'm assuming they're referring to like Powfangs or in
Yeah.
terms of setting them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's easy enough. The all of the frequencies are listed right in the second page of the player packet. It's easy enough to just type in what frequency you need to be. We're not doing anything special. We're running all FRS and GMRS frequencies, so license isn't required. But yeah, just as long as just type it in from the player pack, you're fine. But there's going to be somebody in your squad who's a radio geek like me and is going to know exactly how to help you. So help out your buddies who are struggling, making sure everybody is on the same page. It's going to be fun.
Or here's another suggestion: if you still have trouble with your Powfang, go get a Cobra or a Motorola or a Midland, because the main channels are going to be FRS, GMRS, which is those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 23. So that's what it is. Yeah, and you don't have to futz around with with the frequency, because sometimes I still get messed up. Like if I hit the wrong button, I was like, oh, which mode did I just put myself in?
Yeah,
And then so it is what it is. So I try, have that as a backup. That's what I do, is I keep just a regular Cobra or a Midland radio as my backup, if in case something goes wrong with my Powfang.
Yeah, like even today, you can go to a big box store and you can walk out with a pair of radios for under $30.
Mm-hmm.
So
and spare batteries.
And batteries, right?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I should definitely bring with you guys, with everybody out there. I'm surprised, Mark and Archimedes and Chops, people haven't been asking you about, is this camo okay to wear? That's the other big question that always gets asked.
I've seen it once or twice on the main Bad Blood page itself, but
yeah, people are starting
specific.
to finally get in line with what camos we're going to be using. It's good.
And you'll be surprised. Sometimes they still ask that on black shirts. Like, you think the name says it all, but then they'll come in with like some gray or some other dark pattern color, and they say, "Can I wear this instead?" And it's like, it's black shirts for a reason.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's the fashion show aspect of it,
Absolutely. All right. So, you know what? If there's no other questions, I want to actually find out what it is that GD Boomer has in his garage. So, this is for folks. This is Mark, aka GD Boomer, who has a YouTube channel with some interesting military gear, and this is the real stuff, folks. This isn't the airsoft version of it.
Yeah. In fact, I was on here 3 weeks ago. We talked about this thing, and only then did I learn that there was an airsoft version of this thing. And I looked it up. And it's an amazing, I mean, honestly, from what the description of the thing, I'm not sure I would be able to tell the difference when you just walked up to him. The big surprise is that, and you all didn't know this either, that they've come out with an airsoft version of this missile. And I'm kidding. They don't have one of
No,
those.
I'm sure somebody does. I bet you
yeah,
somebody
after seeing
does.
this and me saying that, some enterprising individual is gonna get busy.
You know what? 60 millimeter mortars are out there now. So,
RPGs. There's airsoft.
Be ready.
There's airsoft RPGs.
So no end to this, right? So hey, it would be pretty cool. I don't know how they would launch the thing, but again,
safely. I don't know.
Somebody's mind is already running. You know that.
So what is that? What do you got there?
Well, let's see. This thing, I got this just because for some reason they had my number, I guess you could say. I got an advertisement for this thing, and I couldn't get it off my mind. And a month later, here it is. So, well, I've had it for about a year, but after I got the ad, it wasn't long before I got it. And I got it from the shock effect, so that when my friends are over and I'm showing them stuff, they go, "Hey, what the heck is that?" So it worked as far as that goes. But the interesting thing is that I didn't see getting as interested in the technical and historical aspects as much as I've been drawn into it. And over the last year, when you get into something, the amount of information that's available is just unreal. And I've been able to find drawings, and it's just enough to make it hard to analyze, but to be able to, in general, figure it out. And I didn't have any background in rocketry, and I really didn't know anything about the historical aspects. The way this thing came about was in the mid-50s. The Soviet Union, Russia, didn't have anything in mind as far as this is an ATGM, an anti-tank guided missile. More specifically, this is a wired guided version. And what happened though was the Egyptians tried to nationalize the Suez Canal, which was owned by the British, and that started up a whole a war. And the French had an SS-10 ATGM, and I don't really know much about that except for the fact that they really were able to do some damage to the Egyptians, and the Russians got very worried about that. And so they immediately, in 1956, started the design of these things in just in a hyper mode. And it was amazing what they accomplished. In about 2 years, they had this missile being issued. The United States at that time really they weren't concerned. They weren't really thinking of these things. And it wasn't until 1973 that the Yom Kippur, I'm not pronouncing that right anyway, that the Soviet Union has supplied these to the Arabs, and they claim that 800 Israeli tanks were destroyed using this. And that got the world's attention. Everybody started going wild about it. But this thing was designed so well that for about 20 years, it reigned supreme among ATGMs. And the reason that it was so important was that nations that didn't really have a military budget were able to afford this and really inflict damage on very expensive equipment that they were fighting against. And so, it was a game changer, and remained for about 20 years in that pivotal position. In fact, and this is an interesting one. I was watching a news clip about the Israeli-Hamas war recently, and I looked over, and Hezbollah, who's not yet in the war, was firing one of these things into Israel. And I said, "There's the missile," and so there are stockpiles of these things around.
Oh,
and
sure.
Even though this is old technology, I guess the reality is you use what you've got. And so these things, even 60 years later, are still being used. Okay, I got this thing from rtgparts.com. That was who had sent me the advertisement. And if you want one, guess what? you can have your own. In fact, this is a version that I've got up here now, which comes with the backpack. It costs a little bit more, and but really cool device. It comes in this really well-made wooden crate. And on the top, it says Makita, and that means model or dummy. I forget which. Anyway, the point being that what I've actually got here is an inert model. This was used for training purposes. In fact, on the end of the case, there is this flip-out container, and in that container is a logbook. And everything about this missile, I think this one was issued in 1976, and from what I can see, it was basically kept in service until about 1998. So 22 years this thing was used, and it was all recorded in that log. Pretty amazing. This is during that the war with what am I trying to say? The French. This is the missile that they used, which is the one that got this the Soviet Union stirred up and got the whole thing started. Let me flip back. Any questions about the thing before I dive into a couple of other aspects of it?
No, it's awesome. It's so fun to
Yeah, I thought so too. Now, a lot of what I've learned, a lot of people, already that are interested in these things already knew about rocketry and stuff. This, for me, that's what's been so amazing, though, is to learn. I'll show you when this thing came, I never really thought about it, but I assumed it was kind of like a bottle rocket that you pointed at what you want to, end up hitting, and that was, that's as far as I had thought. That is so far from the truth. This thing has
it's wire guided, right?
What's that?
It's a wire guided missile, right? Like a tow.
It's wire guided, and what it takes for that wire guiding to actually work is, in my opinion, just kind of amazing for the time. This is the internals of the missile. The tan portion is the warhead. This is a conventional design. I don't think I can say that they really invented anything in the process of this. They basically, the magic, what made it so great was just the combination of everything they chose, which led to being man portable, being very well, it could destroy about 8 inches of armor, so pretty effective. This tan portion is the warhead, and this has a booster. If you're not familiar with a booster engine, that's what gets it off the pad. The same thing is like with the SpaceX rocket. And then what happens, this blue portion is the sustainer engine. So once the thing is off the pad and in flight, that takes over, and that's what has the guidance mechanisms built in. And in the back is a gyroscope and a commutator. And basically what those do is they take the information, they hold the thing on track, and then the information you're feeding through the wire is taken into account and uses thrust vector nozzles to guide it. The green here is actually the wire that's spooled out. They have 3,100 meters of wire that's in this thing. So you can imagine that in a busy battlefield, let's say, that it would look like cobwebs with all this wire strewn all around it. This thing, as I said, is man portable. This is when it's packed up. That's the way it's packed into the case. And there's an example when they've taken the thing out. I'll show you that these wings here, let me go back to these wings fold down so that basically it can go into the case. And there it is, folded into the case. And which also, by the way, this bracket that I have holding the thing is actually what I took it out of the case and mounted it so that I could show this thing. But the most robust bracket that you can imagine, but it's survived 22 years, so I guess it's paid off. This is a very interesting photo here. This thing shows several things. At the front, I guess you can see my cursor on here. At the front, you see these nozzles. And those are the booster engine. Now, those sparks coming off the back are not an engine. Those are purely a tracer so that the operator can see this thing. And when it's going, it's spinning around at 8 revolutions a second. And they're able to see those tracers coming off the back and actually guide the thing where it needs to go. Let me see. 1 second. I'm trying to get to the. Yeah, you can see.
Yeah.
The wire coming off the back of it, as well as the tracers. This is after it's gone off the launch pad or off the launch rail. And that's a little bit hard to see. That's a diagram of the commutator and gyroscope. Now, the interesting thing about the gyroscope is that on a lot of rockets, they power the gyroscope electrically. It has a motor in it, it gets going. This thing has a tape that is hooked to the launch rail. When it takes off, just like a kid's toy gyroscope, it pulls that tape and gets it going, and it remains in motion for long enough, which is about a 30-second flight for the speed of this thing over the 3,000 meters. But the way that they designed this thing to where the power was taken from the control unit and run over that very thin wire so that they didn't have to have batteries and they didn't have to have a lot of electronics on here. It uses thrust vector nozzles, which rotate to give it the guidance. They call it a bang bang. And what they're talking about there is that when this thing is rotating at 8 times a second, you can imagine that it's easy to think that you got it with the nozzle being thrown to the side like you see it here. But you also have to take into account that it's going around 8 times a second. So every time it goes around, it's going to have to flip back so that it takes into account the fact that it's gone 180 degrees. But that's the kind of thing that I found was very interesting to find out. Now, here's one that you all called me on earlier that I didn't know about. This is Explosives 101. What I'm looking at here is the warhead. And this white portion that you can see that covers most of the area is empty space. The hatched portion is actually the explosive. And on the face of that hatched portion is a metal liner. What happens is this is called the Monroe effect or shaped charge. When this thing goes off, it basically collapses or smashes that metal portion into a charge that penetrates, incredibly powerful. This thing was designed to be able to penetrate 8 inches of armor. And if you imagine that if the explosive just went off on the face of a tank, for instance, it's really not going to do anything except explode. With the effect of this shaped charge, the amount of power is unbelievable. And the interesting thing is that, which again, I didn't know about, rocket propelled grenades or a lot of smaller ammunition actually has this same shaped charge in the head of the thing. So at any rate, the kind of thing that I thought was just amazing to find out about the thing. But at any rate, you can tell I'm excited about it. And I didn't really see that coming. Again, this thing was done for the excitement part of it. And by the way, these on the front here, you can see these. Let me zoom in again. These black things, those are where the tracers would normally be. They obviously can't seem to, include a tracer because it's actually a live element. I 3D printed those just so that it would have the correct look of the thing. But at any rate, what do you think? You want one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Now would be a great time to show the video you made with this thing.
Oh, okay.
Ian, can you cue that up?
Conspiracy theory keeping you up at night? Or maybe you're just shopping for the perfect home defense solution. Hi, I'm Mark, the GD Boomer. Today we're taking a look at the Sager wire-guided anti-tank missile, also known as the Little One.
The German's nickname for me is the Little Man.
Well, I think this little one could make a big difference in your peace of mind. It's lightweight and it can be configured to deal with pretty much any dark web into the world situation you may be dreaming up. I know what you're thinking. That's old school. I want something with GPS and a phone app. Well, that's all great till it's not. I have just 3 letters, EMP. That stands for electromagnetic pulse, and that means goodbye internet. The latest reporting indicates that Russia is hell-bent to launch their own commie brand EMP. And if Vladimir gets his way, well, your phone app is going to be toast. That's where this Sager missile really struts its stuff. Wire-guided means no internet needed. And with the Sager joystick control, your video game education is finally going to pay off. Before I go any further, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends at Missile Depot. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and stock most items for fast delivery. If you mention GD Boomer, you'll get free shipping. Are you one of those that's into the great outdoors? Want to do some backpacking? Sager's got you covered. Day one, they said, we want a missile that hikers will love. So strap it on and you're ready to hit the trail. Not into hiking? Well, you still don't have to leave your missile home alone. With so many mounting options, you can be the judge, jury, and executioner. So what is one of these bad boys going to run you? Well, that depends on the options you choose and which side of the track you're shopping on. But if you go with the standard Hello My Neighbor package, you'll need about 100 Ben Franklins or 10 grand. I know what you're thinking, man. I don't want to pay 10 big ones for something that's just going to sit around my doomsday bunker. And I couldn't agree more. It's time for your missile to come out of the closet. Replace that garden gnome with a garden missile. Or spice up your boring conversation pit and finally have something interesting to talk about. Or make it the centerpiece of your Thanksgiving dinner. That way you won't have to worry about somebody bringing up religion or politics. Any way you slice it, the Sager is your best bang for the buck. Black Friday is just around the corner. So if you've been waiting to pull the trigger, Judgment Day is finally here.
I couldn't help myself.
That was hilarious.
I am in the process of putting together a little bit more in-depth actual technical video on the thing, kind of expanding on what I've talked about here tonight. But in the process, it just crossed my mind that, well, just that, anyway. Silly.
That was great. Good, excellent job
Thanks.
there on that video, and I love the writing too. So is this going to be like a part of an ongoing series with you? You're gonna get progressively larger pieces of hardware.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I guess I started with the biggest ones. A little bit hard to go past these two, or at least that thing. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll review some of the other stuff. I do reloading, and I've got a reloading video. I've got a Mark 7 Apex 10, which is an automated loader, and I did a video about that, and a few other guns that are interesting. I've got a theme going on that I don't just seem to like regular things. I like things that are, each one of them in a separate, unique category. So more to come, maybe.
Absolutely. You know what? We're gonna get you on with some of the other reloaders that Mark knows well, like the folks over at Georgia Shooting Connection and over on Guns, Beer, and Therapy. So you'll be right at home with the other reloaders.
Yep.
Well, I'd love that. That'd be cool.
And they get a hoot of that missile for sure.
Yeah, they're neat.
I wonder, actually, there's a question that Prime posted up there, and jokingly, is this for airsoft? I'm wondering how could you convert that for airsoft? Any thoughts there, Ian?
The only way I think you could do it would actually have to be a little bit larger.
Larger?
And yes, only because the only way I could see it working was if the nose cone actually contained a tag-in aerial, and it was launched from inside the actual device, sort of like an RPG, but with an aerial 40 millimeter out the front. It's the only thing that makes any sense to me.
That is interesting.
Now, I went a totally different way in my head. I was thinking you could maybe do a foam version of that looked like it and launch it somehow either.
Yeah, Hades tried that with their water mortar, and even though they deemed it as safe nose cone with ABS plastic, that thing was just dangerous. It had metal fins. The ABS plastic was actually very hard. The nose cone was not soft, and most fields banned it like real quick.
All you had to say was metal fins
Yeah,
flying
metal
at
fins.
you.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it looked interesting. It looked like it would work because you actually had to, you had to hang it and fire it and everything. But yeah, as soon as it came actually out of its little tube via a water balloon pressure, the metal fins flipped open, and the thing was just a plastic missile of death.
Wow.
Yeah, lawn darts worked great too.
You right?
I guess that's comparable. That's funny.
Yeah.
it does look like a
You
giant.
know what though? It does seem like, Tom, that maybe you were on the right thinking way there. That something that had a foam base to it. And in this case, that was something I forgot to mention about. This thing is almost entirely fiberglass. The only in the booster area they used some aluminum and also to surround the sustainer engine. But other than that, I won't pick it up. I understand that may shut the feed down if I did. But this thing is very lightweight. Now, granted, it doesn't have a warhead in it, but I don't think that would add but a couple of 3 pounds to it. Amazing. And just how with fiberglass what they did.
What is the approximate weight in its sort of current inert form?
Well, I have never weighted in that, but the original Soviet design program had a maximum weight of 22 pounds. And I forget that they gave it in kilograms. Obviously, I can't remember what that. I converted.
Wow,
it.
that's pretty good because that's lighter than the instrument that I carried in marching band.
Yeah, it is truly amazing. And we talked earlier about comparing this thing to the javelin. The javelin, it depends on whether you include the control unit in the weight. When you include the control unit, I think that as I remember, it was like 60 pounds. But without that, and of course now that's carried by another person with a backpack. But the javelin has similarities to that still. Although I do believe it can operate completely independently with the control and everything built into it. But still, what they pulled off for 60 years ago was quite amazing. But this talk about making this into an airsoft, it just gets one of those things that gets your mind running, and it's like, stop thinking about that. But there's somebody out there who's going to seize upon that and make it work.
I'm already thinking foam, maybe some 3D printed plastic, and some rocket boosters.
Yeah, I guess the big question is, would you want to make it reusable, which would become tough because the way it is now, it sustains flight, but it takes the engines, the sustainer engines going, as well as the wings for the lift to be able to make it to where it wasn't just destroyed every time. And who knows, that might be okay depending on what they could, turn them out for. But I would imagine that you would hate to see it crash unless it took out 5 people while it was doing it. So, including one of the judges, like you were talking about, and its monitor.
Oh no!
I'm getting carried away.
Oh man, there's a couple of different ways to slice it. I mean, the lamest way I could think of is just use the body and then just pack it in with like a big shower shell. But that's just that's kind of
The tag-in route would probably be the easiest kind of, we'll call it a drop-in. But if you wanted to redesign it from the ground up, that could be a real fun project. But if you wanted
It
to,
would.
make a plastic version, a 3D printed version that you could then fit a launcher tube and a 40 millimeter into, you could do that if you're good. I don't see that being a big problem. It could be fun.
I think we've got it licked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Do you remember? So Tim was reminding me everyone of those water powered missiles that you sort of pumped.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
right. Yeah.
yeah, and well, if you put them sideways, you could take an eye out with one of those old plastic ones. I never understood how the. I mean, I played with those and the Estes rockets when I was a kid, but even I always thought that the one terrible thing about those water powered ones is that it's fine if you're at the park, but I grew up in the city, so we'd play them with them on the street or in the schoolyard. So you'd launch it one or two times, but of course it would land straight in the concrete and crack. So you, you
Of
couldn't play
course.
it for very long.
Mark, was it you that was saying that this thing resembled a lawn dart? Or
Yeah.
it really, now that I look at it, it really does have similarities to that. In, in more ways than one, I guess.
The lawn dart of death.
So
Yes.
this is the Ares missile o death.
Yes.
Oh,
look at that.
yes,
Wow.
yeah, I remember that now.
And so in that, those fins flip out, right?
That's correct, but they're metal. So
Why did they
Wow.
make them a
Oh, good
metal?
Lord.
the thing is still coming down on people in the field,
Yeah.
And it's just bad
just-
idea.
You just got to ask, what were they thinking when they made those metal? But they were thinking
Just like you
fun.
said, reusability.
Yeah, I
less
guess that's true.
consumable parts. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so awesome. So thank you very much, Mark, for bringing that on. I'm sure if anybody has any questions, reach out to me and I'll send it over to GD Boomer. Are you planning on any other videos with that coming up?
Well, yeah, like I was saying, I think I've been putting my research in order to maybe do a more in-depth, serious about this. I've got to walk that fine line because I'm not claiming to be an expert on it or any of the subject matter. But just like tonight, I found a lot of interesting stuff. I would imagine that I'm not unusual in the fact that maybe I like to play with guns, but I've never really looked into rocketry and stuff. And so, I think that I may represent a whole group of people. And just in telling them about the things that I've learned about this thing, who knows? It may, they may want to continue investigating and, give them some links to where I got the information and stuff. There's a site. The main site I used was called Tankagrad, I guess is the
Tankagrad?
pronunciation. Yeah, are you familiar with that? Just like any subject you get into, there are fanatics and people that just dive deep. And they had done such a good job of, and it wasn't just this missile that they expanded on. They multiple missiles, and they did all a format to where they talked about every aspect: the guidance, the warheads, the history of the thing. And at any rate, it's fascinating reading and studying.
Absolutely. Well, we'll look forward to your next video. And for those of you, you know what? I forgot to post up a link to your channel. So let me look that up right this second. But GD Boomer is the name of the channel that Mark has on YouTube.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm just getting started, as you know. I've literally been a lot less than a year into doing these videos and still finding my way. These things, as you know, are a lot of work to put together to do them correctly.
Yeah.
And if you don't do them correctly, I don't know. I would say that you don't stand much of a chance. You've really got to strike that thing where you get people, tell them what people are so, including myself, just we want to get right to what we want to get to. And so that's in trying to put together videos. That's kind of the what I'm trying to achieve. But we'll see. More to come.
So I hopefully Ian can post that up there. There we go. So that's the link to GD Boomer. Question actually is where is the GD Boomer come from?
Uh, well, I'll say it's good day, but anyway, I've heard so many comments about people dissing, saying bad stuff about the Gen Xers and stuff, saying the boomers need to get out of the way, and so this was just a sarcastic play on that,
I see.
basically.
Yeah, usually
And
the meme is okay Boomer, but that's actually what millennials saying that rather than whatever.
yeah. At any rate, just instead of trying to hide from it and your age and everything else, just dive into it. Is what I said.
Yes, embrace the suck.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
All right, folks. So make sure that you subscribe to Gray Hair Mark, aka the GD Boomer channel. And I want to thank him for taking the time to show off his missile on an airsoft channel. And I want to answer one final question from airsoft question we had. Will there be tagging grenades available for purchase from the vendors? Ian, did you know if they just only did pre-orders last year?
Last year was weird because they were still, on the hard side to get.
They're still, aren't they?
They're hard to get, but there are products that have cleared ATF laws and are available for purchase. Amped as an authorized tag and reseller will probably have some product, but I can't guarantee. We can't control what they bring, obviously. So if they have enough product, they'll probably bring it. If they do, it is allowed at the game.
Can
All
pre-order from
tag
Amp
in.
too.
Yeah,
you
that's
can
a
pre-order from
better.
Amp. Yeah.
You're better off doing that because they're in such short supply. I would be surprised if
Yeah.
they brought any. They're probably all called for.
Yeah.
So your best chance
But
is
the
ordering them before.
the tag in hand grenade products that have cleared ATF are authorized for use at EMR. So if you can get your hands on it and you wanna waste $13, go for it.
So hopefully that answers your question. Now, before we end tonight's episode, as I promised, we're going to be giving away this spotting scope, and I'm sorry to Jim who's at OSS. I accidentally sent the link to the wrong Jim on my address book. I sincerely apologize, but we're gonna pull the winner here. So whenever you're able to, Ian, we're gonna be so everybody who is on this wheel sent in the entries, and all the entries have been up for the contest has been up for a month at moondogindustries.com/contest. So you just had to send in your entries for tonight, and so these are all the names, and we're going to call it. In fact. Since we have our special guest tonight, Mark, do you want to just call it out? Say, do a countdown, and Ian can press the start button.
Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead. I would like to read the winner, but I can't see my screen from that far. There it is.
Zoran.
Apovic?
Arapovic. Yes. So I'm hoping that they're in a country that we can send this to, or at least hopefully locally. We'll find out. I'll email Zoran and let him know he won. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And again, there's still some tickets left. At least as far as I know, they're going to still be on sale on Monday. They were supposed to be this weekend was supposed to be the last day. So I'm sure they're going to turn off the tickets sometime soon. So don't wait. Get your tickets now at edict.com. And I want to thank all of our guests, Chops, Archimedes, GD Boomer, and of course my co-host Sonic for hosting tonight's episode. And before I sign off totally, I just want to throw it back to our guest panelists if they have anything they wanted to say in closing or want to promote. So let's start off with Chops. Any final words there?
I am good. Just looking forward to a good game next weekend.
Excellent. Archimedes.
Nothing really to plug. Just really looking forward to seeing everybody this weekend, getting out there on the field, having a good time.
Absolutely. You know, you have a YouTube channel as well as on Instagram.
Not just my YouTube channel. It's my name, Mark Thomas, and that's where I show some of my my leather work, things that my son and I do together, just whatever I happen to be working on at a time.
And it's amazing leather work, folks. So if you go to youtube.com at Mark Thomas, MARC, Thomas with an H, and check out some amazing leather work. He's a true artisan.
Thank
and
you.
GD Boomer, do you have any final words, or you want to talk about it? Well, you already talked about some of the projects you're working on, but any final words?
No, I can't think of anything. I really appreciate you all letting me come on here and show off this thing. And I hope that some people found some interest in it.
Great. Thanks again. And Ian, it's nice and it's getting dark out there in Texas.
Yes, it's nice. You know, I can see stars for once. I haven't seen stars in years, so I'll take it.
All right. Well, we'll be thinking about you, and I'm sure you'll be there in spirit next weekend.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for hosting. And thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Moondog. Definitely check out my YouTube channels at Moondog Go, at Moondog Reviews, and at Moondog Industries. We'll be seeing you next Friday at Bad Blood. All right.
See you then.